Welcome back to the Pearls and Pearls podcast. I'm your host, Peta-Kay. If it's your first time streaming one of my episodes, hello. I hope you're going to enjoy today's episode. Today's episode is going to be a little bit off the cuff. I want to try something different. And also, I'm just getting back into the habit of regularly uploading episodes. So bear with me. I've been seeing a lot of content on my TikTok lately talking about friendships, and also some of the conversations I've had of late has surrounded friendship. And I thought it'd be great to record an episode talking about maturing in friendship, some of my realizations, but also I want to know yours. What are some of the things that you've come to realize about friendship as you have gotten more mature that are perhaps very different to what you thought in your early years? So maybe when you were a teenager or in your early 20s, essentially, what are some of the things that you have come to realize as you have matured in your friendship? I think for me, one of the key things about friendship that I have come to realize as I've matured is firstly, friendship is actually important. I did go through a phase where I kind of felt like I don't need anyone and I didn't really value friendships as much. Like I've always been someone, I've had quote unquote friends, I've had people around. But as far as having people that were super close, that I was really open and authentic about myself, it's more so my struggles. I never really had a lot of people that I could really be open with when I was going through things. Not because the people around me were all bad. It was more so myself. I just struggled to articulate myself. I struggled with trust and trusting people. And I kind of had this self sufficiency where I think I don't need anyone. I've got myself. You know, people just let you down, that kind of thing. So I had my little emo phase in my early teens. And this kind of impacted how I navigated my relationship. So, as I said, I always had people around, but I didn't have people that I really let into my heart, or people that I could really just be like, "Do you know what? I'm going through something right now." That, yeah, that was the difference for me. I had friendships, but I didn't really have close friendships that I could really just open up and be like, this is what I'm going through. Again, a lot of that stemmed from my own trust issues, not necessarily the people around me. I want to kind of make that really clear. So I think ultimately I'll start from there. So actually recognizing the value of friendship, I think that's one of the things that as I got older, I started to realize when you really have solid friendships, and I think especially for me where I don't have a lot of close family in the UK, I only have my husband and my dad, it's made me lean into more into my friendships. So a lot of the people that I consider family are friends or family friends. And I think that in itself, having those relationships has made me realize the value of friendships and relationships in general. Because when you don't necessarily have close family, sometimes your friends then become that family that you don't have. They're able to fill that void and that gap. And so now that I'm older and looking back at my 20s, I can definitely say that I can see the value of friendship, especially in moments where I've been going through something or I've even been celebrating something. Having people in your life that are there to celebrate your successes with you, and also people that are there to hold you up when you're going through things or when things are looking a little bleak is actually really beautiful. Another thing I've learned is not expecting all your friends to show up the same. I think sometimes it's very easy to put everyone in one box and to expect everyone to act the same. But I think also it's important to give people grace to be themselves, and also to deal with people on a capacity basis. So I have some friends that are a lot more affectionate, and they are the kind of friends that they will articulate like, "Oh girl, I really missed you." You know, they're very huggy. Whereas I have other friends that aren't as articulate articulate about their feelings or tactile. And I think it's just not expecting everyone to be the same, and loving people for who they are and where they are, and not trying to force everyone in one box. So not trying to make everyone your best friend, but really just allowing relationships to grow and foster organically, but also actually putting in the effort to invest in them. Because that's the thing with friendships. You know, if you don't invest in your friendships, whether that's having conversations on the phone or meeting up or having those FaceTimes or WhatsApp calls or whatever it is, the relationship is not going to grow. The connection is not going to be there as it would with any other relationship. Relationships do require work, and so do friendships to some capacity. But also, you might have some friendships that are a lot low maintenance. There's others that are more high maintenance. So, you know, they require you speaking more, I have some friends, I probably see them once or twice a year, but every time I meet them, it's like nothing has happened. We're always catching up on what's happened in our lives. And there's no ill feeling on either side because honestly, life just gets so busy. And I almost feel like quarterly is when I can meet up with different people because one, the budget doesn't stretch. Two, sometimes, the social battery doesn't stretch. How many people can I squeeze into 3-day weekend? Like it's very difficult. And that's one of the lessons that's been really important for me to learn over the last couple of years, not expecting all my friends to show up the same, but of course, having expectations. I think also in friendship, you should have expectations. Sometimes we don't set any because we don't want to be disappointed or we've been through hurt, but a friendship is a choice, a relationship is a choice. And of course, there should be some level of expectation, not expecting perfection, not expecting to people to never make mistakes or to, never hurt you. Naturally, we're human, we're going to make mistakes. But I think just not expecting all your friendships to show up the same and recognizing the differences in your friends. And also, I think also just being more curious and interested in what your friends have going on. If you are the friend that you're the life of the party, it's very easy for a lot of your friendships to kind of what's the word, be centered around you and what's going on in your life, especially if you're the more articulate one, you're the storyteller. So a lot of your time with your friends can actually be centered around your own life, but actually making sure that you're taking an effort to be interested in your friend's life and what they've got going on, and making space for them, especially when you have friends that may be a little bit more shy or reserved. Actually giving space for them to also show, their life or talk about whatever it is that they want to share with you. So making space for those friends as well in your friendship groups. Speaking up. And speaking up comes in different facets. Speaking up when you feel like something has shifted in the friendship, or maybe your friend has said something or done something that's hurt your feelings. It's so easy for us to kind of withdraw and just kind of pull back because it's easier to do that than it is to really just be like, girl or bro, like I didn't like what you did or what you said. Speaking up, it's so important. I can't emphasize that enough. If there's an issue, if you're feeling hurt, just speak to your friend about it. If you don't feel comfortable in that moment, maybe you're in your feelings about it, take some time, think it over. Don't take too long, but speak to them about it. So many times we formulate stories and come to conclusions in our mind, or we just never address certain things. We just kind of pull back. We don't make effort anymore. Maybe the friend reaches out, it's one word answers. There's just a clear shift that really and truly you can both see it, but nobody can really tell what that shift is. And I think so many times there are friendships where you quote unquote grow apart, but you've not actually grown apart. There's been an issue on someone's side that nobody has actually addressed or brought up. And I think this is why it's important. Speak up in your friendships. If you don't speak up in your friendships, you're not going to speak up in your relationship. We are people of habits and patterns, and the same way you navigate your friendships is most likely the same way you're going to navigate your romantic relationships as well. So speak up when you're hurt, when you're not happy about something. Speak up. Equally, speak up when you are happy about things. If your friend does something that you really like, you appreciate, give some words of affirmation. Sometimes we want that in our relationships, but also give that to your friends. I think sometimes we take our friends for granted. And something that I've been reminded of time and time again is that a lot of people do not have solid friendships. A lot of people do not have people that they can really truly depend on. And if you have people in your life, even if it's one good friend or two good friends, be grateful for those friends, but also show your friends your appreciation. It doesn't cost you anything to send a nice message, to send that voice note, to share that meme or that thing that reminded you of your friend. And you're like, oh, girl, I'm so grateful for you. Or, bro, I'm really grateful for our friendship. Like, let's not be shy about, giving our flowers to our friends when they can smell them, and also to our family, of course. But yeah, speaking up when it's good, when it's bad, having those conversations. Don't be shy about, showing your appreciation. I think sometimes, for me anyway, that's something that I'm trying to work more on, like really showing my friends that I value them, that I appreciate them. If I'm sounding a little bit different and or a little bit husky, I have had a cold, I'm still recovering, but I didn't want to let that stop me from recording today's episode. So here we are. As I've been maturing in my friendships, setting boundaries has also been something that's been very important. I don't think boundaries has been difficult for me in the sense of I've always had boundaries when it came to my personal life and my feelings. But I think boundaries in the sense of not being a people pleaser or being afraid to address certain things or speaking up for myself, I'd probably say that's been the harder side of setting boundaries for me, especially in my early 20s when I was getting to a stage of like wanting to actually build healthy friendships. So setting boundaries is one of the things that I think is really important. And I think it does also boil down to, like I said before, like not expecting all your friends to show up the same. Setting your boundaries. Again, sometimes things change, your life changes, you grow, you develop. And maybe if you've been someone that you've been an oversharer or you've been the kind of person that you've been a people pleaser, setting boundaries when you've never done them before or even shifting those boundaries can be quite difficult. But I think a lot of friendships would actually have a lot more longevity if people set their boundaries. And if people also felt like, "Do you know what, okay, I've set this boundary and I need to change it." It's perfectly, you can set a boundary today and that suits you for where you are right now. But as you grow and you develop, your life changes, there's different aspects of your life, sometimes those boundaries will need to change. And I think it's really important to just have those conversations. I feel like I say that a lot, but communication is so important. Sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it, where you say it, and sometimes you need to say it a couple more times and really ensuring that the way you're articulating something, that person actually understands. Something I've started saying a lot more when I have conversations with people is I'll repeat what they said, like, "Is that what you meant?" Just so that I'm actually understanding. Because I've found time and time again, I've thought that I've understood what someone was saying, but I was completely reading a completely different side of the story. And I think it's really important for us also, when you are listening, when you're having these conversations, to also seek for clarity. Am I actually understanding what you're saying? Because sometimes you think you've understood, but really you're on two different pages. So it's also important to just kind of gain that clarity. Now, this one's a little bit touchy, but it's very, very necessary. Jealousy. Jealousy in friendships. I think at least one point in our lives, we're all going to experience jealousy, maybe not necessarily envy, but you're going to experience a point in your life where you're all going through different things. There may be times in your life where everything is going well for you. Maybe for your friends, that's not the case. Or you're all going through seasons where everyone is winning, you're achieving your goals, you're making progress, things are happening. And that's great. It's very easy to celebrate the people in your life when things are going well in your own life. However, there will be times, or at least a time in your life, where this might not be the case. Maybe you're not winning, you're not achieving that job that you want, the promotion is not coming. Maybe you're trying for a baby, it's not happening. You've just had a miscarriage, you want to get married, it's not happening. Your relationship has just broken down. Like, there will come a time in your relationships where, in your friendships, should I say, and this could even be with your family members as well. I know that some people, their close friends are their family, they don't really have friendships outside of that. But in any case, there will be a time, if you've never experienced it, where this may happen, where someone in your life, they may be celebrating something that you're actually mourning, something that maybe you want for yourself, but it hasn't happened yet, whether it's the relationship, the baby, the house, the man, the job, whatever it is. And it takes a certain level of maturity and self awareness and faith to really be able to celebrate that person, irrespective of what you are going through. And I've come to realize that not everyone can do it. I think until you've been on the other end of it, or you've experienced it yourself, you wouldn't really understand it. Because if we speak about hypothetically, everyone's going to say, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to celebrate my friend." But if you really look at your behavior and how you have navigated those times, if you've experienced that before, how you were, did you really show up for your friend? Did you really celebrate them? Or did you make it about you? I've heard so many stories and seen so many examples of this, and it's really sad because sometimes it's friendships of many years, decades. I'm talking, you've been friends since like the nappies. But then there comes a time where that person, they're celebrating a win, there's something happening in their life, and then they just don't show up for their friend. And it's very sad. And it's a very bitter way to end a friendship. But I think it's really important to be able to recognize when you are experiencing jealousy, when you are experiencing a feeling of inadequacy, or you're a little bit triggered by what's going on with your friend, because a lot of the time it's not necessarily them, it's a you. It's something internal within yourself. It's something that you need to work on, that you need to look at inwardly. Of course, there's a difference between, someone showing off and them really going out of their way to make you feel bad about yourself. And in most cases, if you're in a healthy friendship, your friend is not going to do that. But there are times when the person that's triggered is you. And it's then left for you to actually do something about it. So whether you're the person that's experiencing the jealousy, or you have experienced, or you've been on the other end of it, or you suspect it in your friend, or you've noticed a shift, since something has happened in your life, the relationship has changed, the person is just not the same with you anymore, you have a decision to make. You can either decide that, you know what, let's have a conversation about it, or you can just leave it and just see what happens. Sometimes things will naturally go back to how it was, or the relationship itself will just kind of fizzle out, and again, you'll grow apart, and then you'll be like, oh my gosh, what happened? But I do think it's really important. Jealousy is one of those things that if you don't really check it, it can really become and spiral into other things. You can start to get resentful. So if you recognize that in yourself, or you kind of suspect that in a friend, it's a sensitive topic. It really is a very sensitive topic, but have a conversation. Check in with your friend, even if you don't want to directly say like, oh, I've noticed since this has happened, you've been different with me. But check in, how are you? Like, how are things going for you? Are you okay? Is there anything I can do to support you? Is there anything you need from me? I'm here for you. Sometimes just giving that reassurance is also important. But yeah, jealousy. It's a tricky one, but like I said, it at some point in your life is going to happen, whether it's in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. It could even be, let's say you're in your 60s and you're getting ready to retire, and then you have friends around your age that they can't afford to retire right now. And maybe they're feeling a little bit jealous that you can retire and they're still working. Like, this feeling is not just applicable to a certain age. It can manifest itself in different ages and stages of life, and it's just one of those things. At some point, you're going to have to deal with it. I've experienced this in my friendships where I was in a position where I was a single friend. Both my close friends, they were both in relationships. I never had anyone. I could have allowed jealousy to make me feel some kind of way, but I didn't. I mean, I was just doing my thing. I was going on my solo dates, doing my thing, living my life. And I didn't allow that to cause any issues in my friendships. But again, it took being intentional and also being real with myself as well. The last thing that I want to highlight is being able to show and celebrate your friends, similar to my previous point, so kind of following on from that. So, being able to show up and celebrate your friends despite your own experiences. Like I said, this is not easy. It is very hard, especially when it is a very sensitive topic. But this is what friendship is. Sometimes it's not about you. And as much as it is important to prioritize yourself at times, sometimes not every moment in life is about you. And I think it's also important to be able to make space to celebrate others, to let them have their time, to let them have their moment without making it about you and your situation and what you're going through. Like, let people have their moment. Let people enjoy the things that they're going through. And even sometimes, if you are on the other end of it, where you are the friend that things are happening, you're in a celebratory season, things are going well, it's also easy for you to kind of pull back a little bit because you don't want to show off, or you don't want your friend to feel a certain kind of way. But listen, let's not do that. It's just kind of, it's a matter of navigating things delicately, but at the same time being authentic to yourself. Because sometimes we create problems that aren't even there. So that's also another factor as well. But I just wanted to share a couple of these points. These are some of the things for me that I've learned as I've matured in my friendships. But I would love to know, what are some of the lessons, what are some of your takeaways that you have learned about maturing in friendship. Is there any of the points that I shared that really resonated with you? I would love to know. If you're listening on Spotify, there will be a poll, so make sure you engage and leave me your comments. If today's episode resonated with you, or you have a friend or family member that you really appreciate and you want to know, you want to let them know that you appreciate them, share this episode with them and let them know that, do you know what, when I listen to this episode, it made me think of you. I think it's so important for us to celebrate the people in our lives. Let's not wait for birthdays, special occasions to celebrate people. Life is so short, and sometimes we only recognize how short life is when something tragic happens. Let's not wait for anything tragic. Let's learn to celebrate the people in our lives, because honestly, nobody owes you nothing. And if you have people that are showing up for you just because they love you, that is such a beautiful thing. And that's the beauty of friendship. You're not just friends with someone because of what they can give you or what you can gain from them. You're friends with them because you love them. You recognize something in them that you like, that you can relate to. And this is the beauty of friendship. So share with me, what are some of the things you have learned as you've matured in friendship? If you have a dilemma, if you need advice on anything, I want to kind of maybe start. I'm just trialing as I'm getting back into recording episodes. If you need advice on anything, it doesn't have to be finance related, but maybe relationships. Maybe what I shared today has got you thinking on something. If you've got a dilemma, you need some advice, drop me your question at info@pearlsandperils.com, or you can send me a message on my social media platforms at Your Finance PT, and I will answer your dilemma or your question in the next video. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next episode.